Bali is finally open for tourism.
And in this video, we're sharing everything you need to know before booking a trip to this paradise island. We'll be covering everything from entry requirements, where to stay, daily budgets, how to get around, what to do and what not to do.
If you find any of the information in this video helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this.
Right.
Let's start this video off with how to get to Bali.
You'll want to book a flight to Ngurah International Airport. Big airlines are adding direct routes to Bali now, so you'll no longer need to fly through Jakarta first like we did. Use Google Flights to see what flights are available. As of May 30th, there are 72 countries eligible for visa on arrival, with more countries being added every day. Visa on arrival means you will be granted a 30-day tourist visa, which is extendable up to 60 days. The price is currently 500k IDR or around $35. If you would like to spend more than 60 days in Bali, then you can apply offshore for the B211 business or tourist visa. There are various agencies you can contact that provide this service and will usually get your visa approved within a week. The cost is always changing, but as of right now, it is around 3.5 million IDR. The nice thing is that this visa is renewable on the island, so you will not need to do a visa run and leave the country.
Okay, let's quickly just touch on the requirements, which are changing all the time, so we advise you check in with your visa agent to get the updated ones, but as of right now, these are the requirements.
Step 1.
You have to fill out the EHAC International form, which is an app before departure.
Step 2.
After arrival, you will have to have your vaccination certificates ready.
Step 3.
Your EHAC and hotel booking will be checked at the airport.
Step 4.
After passing multiple checkpoints, which include checking for health insurance, return of an onward flight ticket within 30 or 60 days, you will have your visa on arrival. You can pay for your visa on arrival with a credit card or the equivalent in a few foreign currencies.
Step 5.
Collect your bags, pass the checkpoints, and go to your transportation.
As of right now, you will need a double vaccination to get into Bali without a quarantine, and you will need the EHAC app downloaded before you land.
If you are only single dose vaccinated, then you will have to serve a 5-day quarantine.
At your own expense.
The currency here is Indonesian rupiah and is usually around 15,000 IDR to 1 USD. Once you get through customs, there are numerous money exchange services in the airport itself. Although we've never used any of these, we don't recommend it because the fees are always super high at the airport. If you do want to use a money exchange service, you can find them. They are all over the island, so just head outside towards Seminyak, Kuta, Canggu, and you will find one. Alternatively, and what we do is we draw from an ATM with our credit cards, and every time we draw, it's usually a fee of $8 roughly.
There are ATMs all over the island, and there is a limit on how much you can draw from an ATM at one time, so you might have to use the ATM multiple times in a day, but it's the most convenient. Actually, most places accept credit cards, so that's a good thing. You don't always need cash.
Now, we got away with spending most of our money through credit cards, just with direct points of sales, and then we just draw about 3 million IDR for a week or two, and that's just to pay for meals at the warungs and just petrol for your bike and small stuff.
Okay, best time to visit Bali.
The best time to visit Bali is between April and October. It's not as hot and it does not rain as much. The weather is usually between 28 and 32 degrees pretty much every single day during this time.
What you need to know about the weather in Bali is that there's basically only 2 seasons. There's the wet season and the dry season. You don't want to be in Bali during the wet season because most of your beach days will be ruined by the extreme thunderstorms and downpours that happen every day.
And they just come out of absolutely nowhere, so be aware. If you are going to go between November and March, it is rainy season. The benefit though of that is that prices for hotels and things are a little bit cheaper during this time. The busiest time in Bali is normally between June and July, so European holidays. It gets super busy.
Prices will be extremely high, the island will be crazy busy, and the traffic just will be dreadful.
Off the rocker. Alright, following on from the weather, let's talk about what you need to pack for Bali.
This is my favorite part because not a lot of people make videos about this, and there's quite a few things you actually need to know about traveling to Bali and Southeast Asia in general. So basically, you're packing for hot and humid weather. Pretty much the whole of your trip will look like that, unless you head up into the mountains like Munduk, northern Bali, where the temperatures drop quite a bit actually, and in the evenings it might be a little chilly, so you need like a thin sweater. It's nothing dramatic or anything. Definitely because of the humidity and the amount you're going to be sweating every day, you want to bring things that are comfortable and breezy, and avoid whites. I'm telling you now, avoid white clothing. So you're looking at shorts, t-shirts, sandals, and one pair of good walking shoes if you're going to be heading up into the mountains and climbing volcanoes. It also gets really frigging cold up there, so do pack some warm clothes if you do plan to do that. Some other really important items that you need to pack include a raincoat, a hat, sandals, aloe vera for when you're sunburnt, reef safe sunscreen because it's actually very expensive in Bali and hard to find, diarrhea medication if you plan on eating the local foods because Bali belly is real. Another one for the ladies, bring your sanitary products and thrush medication if you're prone to that. And if you're going to have a little bit of a fancy night out on the town, do pack a nice looking outfit and some good shoes because certain clubs and bars in Bali are quite bougie and they do have dress codes. But Bali is not a very desolated island, and you can find most of these things. They've got H&M's, Zara's, beautiful boutique shops, all sorts of things. They've got pharmacies, markets, thrift shops. It's a very developed island and you'll be surprised how much you can find there. So don't worry if you do forget anything. Don't stress.
You'll be fine. Moving on to the next section. These are some of the apps you need to download before you come to the island. Number one is most definitely WhatsApp. It is used all over the place for organizing your drivers, even ordering food from restaurants, organizing a place to stay such as a villa. Communication using WhatsApp is super important. Secondly, Facebook is also important if you want to look for apartments and places to stay. That's also used very frequently. The next two very important apps are Grab and Gojek. Grab is basically the Uber. You're going to use it to call your motorbikes, your food, your cars, and Gojek is the exact same except it's the Indonesian version. Does basically the same, but it is a little bit cheaper on Gojek.
You can even order medication on Gojek. Gojek.
Gojek, not a bad one.
That's how freaking awesome the app is. Definitely download it.
So if you're down and out with Bali belly one morning, just hop on the app and order your medication straight to your villa. Then the last app we recommend is Google Maps. It's used to navigate on the island. The other apps don't really work. Apple Maps doesn't work. So make sure you get Google Maps, and then you can go ahead and download the offline map. So when you're heading out into the remote areas where there's no signal, you'll have maps in your back pocket.
Okay, time to talk about money. This is really dependent on you and your Bali itinerary, but I'm happy to tell you that you don't have to spend your entire life savings to pay for a trip to this beautiful island. It is quite an affordable island. Granted, there are certain things that are expensive, but let's get into the different budgets. The three different budgets are super budgets or backpacker vibes. You're looking at spending around 20 to 50 USD a day. Pretty darn good, I'd say. Second one is our budget, and that is comfortable brackets. It's not too budget, but it's not too bougie either. And you're looking at paying between 50 and 80 USD a day for that one. And then the budget type that we aspire to have, that's luxury. Anything over $100 a day honestly is luxury. You can push it way higher though. You could easily spend $1,000 a day, no jokes, on the island, depending on your accommodation and what restaurants you eat at. 5-star restaurants, massages, alcohol, all of that. Obviously, the longer you stay though, the better deals you'll get on monthly rates on Airbnb, gym memberships, co-working spaces, all sorts of stuff.
Or bike hire too.
If you are an aspiring digital nomad and wondering how much a month of expenses looks like, then definitely check out this video linked above. It's our cost of living in Bali. We lived there for a couple of months and we share all of our expenses.
Next up is accommodation.
The island offers a wide variety of places to stay, from world-class 5-star hotels to backpacker homestays and hostels. In between, there are affordable and comfortable Airbnbs everywhere. We booked 90% of our short-term stays using Airbnb, and the rest of our bookings were made using Agoda. We can also recommend using booking.com. You'll be able to find anything from small intimate couple getaways to massive 8-bedroom villas to share with friends. The variety of places to stay on the island is truly remarkable, so spend some time seeking out the perfect place to suit your needs. We generally go for guest houses though, where you have a private room and a shared kitchen and certain amenities. And a pool. That's pretty important.
Yeah.
Next up is transportation.
When you arrive at the airport, you'll most likely be hounded by taxi drivers. We usually ignore these guys because they often are very pushy and will charge an arm and a leg. If you do take a taxi, then make sure it's at least a Bluebird taxi. We've used them a couple of times and have never had a bad experience. They use a meter and never tried to scam us. Alternatively, we can recommend you contact the place you are staying at and either ask them to organize a shuttle service for you, or if they know a driver that can pick you up. A ride from the airport to say Seminyak or Canggu would usually cost between 200 and 400k IDR. Once you're all settled in, you can head out looking for a bike to hire so that you have your own wheels on the island. Bike hire prices fluctuate all the time with supply and demand like anything else, but the usual going rate is around 1 million IDR per month. If you want to rent daily, then you can pay anywhere from 100k per day to 250k depending. Be sure to negotiate. You will need to give your passport information, so take your passport with you. They'll have to make a copy.
Legally speaking, you do need an international license to be able to ride a motorbike on the island. But I beg you, if you're not experienced with a motorbike, don't rent one. There are far too many accidents at the moment, the traffic is crazy, and that's because there's a lot of people riding motorbikes on the island that have no idea what they're doing. Don't put somebody else's life in your hands, rather just use the Grab and Gojek. It's so cheap and so easy to use. But if you are experienced and know how to ride a motorbike, then definitely go ahead and rent one, but remember to wear your helmet, okay?
Do note, if you do get into an accident on the island, your travel insurance will require you to have a license before they help you out.
Stay tuned and we'll share our favorite travel insurance with you guys.
Next up is going to be traffic. Traffic on the island is quite bad. It can take 40 minutes to travel from the airport to Ubud or Canggu. The roads are very thin and there are a ton of bikes and cars trying to get around. We recommend using Grab or Gojek rather to help curb the traffic congestion.
Next up is language and culture. The language on the island is Bahasa Bali or Bahasa Indonesia, but most people that you'll come into contact with speak English pretty fluently. A couple don't, they'll be broken English, but you'll definitely survive.
Most hotels and restaurants have people fluent in English and a couple other languages actually, so you'll be more than fine.
We do suggest learning a couple of the basic phrases though, because, well, it's just common decency when you go to a foreign country. You want to communicate with them and they'll love you. They'll appreciate that you took the time to learn their language.
If you do want to learn a little bit, I suggest going onto Babbel and doing their free lessons in Indonesian. It will help me a hell of a lot to learn a little bit about the numbers and just basic greetings. So check that out.
Bagus. Enak.
For culture, the Balinese are a very culturally rich group of people. They have many celebrations, sometimes even every 100 days. Remember to always be respectful of their temples. Be mindful of the offerings that you will see placed on the road and at entrances to hotels and restaurants. Please don't kick these. Ladies, you will need to be covered up when at a temple, and men will also need to cover their legs. This is also a requirement at the government buildings, such as when you go to renew your visa.
And one more custom to be aware of is it's very respectful to give and take with your right hand and not your left. Indonesian subscribers, can you let us know in the comments what the reasoning is for that? I definitely always do it anyway, but I'm actually not sure what the reason is behind that. Next up is where to go. We've luckily got 2 videos to guide you. First video is the top 10 places to visit in Bali, and second is our ultimate road trip guide. So check out those videos to find out where to go.
Next up is what to eat when you're there. Don't miss out on trying the amazing food the island has to offer. From the famous nasi goreng, mee goreng, pisang goreng, goreng means fried by the way, to the incredible and our favorite chicken curries or curry ayam.
And beef rendang, oh my gosh, and indomie.
And if you're craving a taste of home, there are Western options all over the island, so don't even stress about that. Next up is water and ice.
Do not drink the tap water.
So on the island, you will have to drink out of bottled waters at all times. You can buy a big 20-litre one for about 20k, really cheap, or you can just get them at any Alpha Mart. The water is okay to brush your teeth though, but definitely not good for consumption.
It's not. Oh my god, do not even use the water to brush your teeth.
She's
use
super
bottled
paranoid.
water. No ways, the locals will tell you. So if you're on the island for a short period of time, be very careful of this because you don't want to ruin your time with Bali Belly. Seriously.
Alright, alcohol on the island. It's kind of expensive if you're gonna go and drink out. You can look to pay anywhere between 90k for a Corona to like 120k just for one Corona at a club. But if you do want to just get some beers and go to a villa, you can head to an Alpha Mart, and they are usually around 20k for a beer at an Alpha Mart.
The island of Bali has a local liquor called Iraq, I think it is, and that stuff is potent. A lot of the cocktails at the cheap cocktail bars are mixed with that stuff, and it will get you lit. In fact, it'll make you sick, so just be careful. Don't drink too many cocktails just in case. Probably stick to bottled beers and more upmarket cocktail bars. Once again, if you're on the island for a short period of time, you do not want to spend days and days in bed. Okay, now let's talk about vaccinations. This is a bit of a tricky one because before we traveled to Southeast Asia, our doctor recommended that we get a couple of shots from HPV shots, rabies shots, and
Tetanus, I think.
yellow fever. But it's not required for you to, if you're visiting the island, especially if you're going to stay away from the remote areas on the island, you'll be fine without them. One thing I would take note of is apparently dengue fever is quite a big thing on the island, so protect yourself. Get your immune system strong and just avoid mosquitoes. Use lots of bug spray. There's no malaria on the island, so you don't need to take any medication for that either. At the end of the day, bug spray will be your best vaccination.
Next up is travel insurance.
We do not travel without our travel insurance safety wing. They've saved us 2 times and we'll keep repeating this. They saved us in 2019 as soon as the pandemic started and we had to get a repatriation flight back home. They covered that entire flight. And the second time when we were put in quarantine in Indonesia because Rhett tested positive for corona and they covered that as well. Accidents are prone on the island. You might have a motorbike accident, you might slip and fall at a waterfall. Just be covered in case. Actually, I think it's also a requirement.
Yeah.
So
you have to have travel insurance to enter Indonesia. They actually check for it now at the airport, so make sure you get it.
So if you're looking for travel insurance, the link for our travel insurance will be down in the description below. Next up is the length of your stay. We do recommend around 2 weeks to have a full experience on the island and to go home with no regrets. But if you do only have a week, then it should suffice. Just be careful of Bali belly, heat stroke, and things like that. You don't want to ruin your 1 week holiday.
Next up is the electricity. The plug points that they use in Bali are exactly the same as the ones used in Vietnam and in South Africa. I'll put a picture on the screen now. So make sure you have the right adapter when you come. Best thing is to just pick up an adapter before you leave home. If not, you will be able to find them all over the island once again.
Next up is SIM card and internet. You can get away with not having a SIM card if you're there for a short period of time. There's Wi-Fi everywhere in the hotels, the cafes,
Restaurants,
all over, and the speeds are pretty good. If you do decide to do a SIM card, definitely check out Telkomsel. It is a little complicated at the moment because you'll have to register your IMEI number at a Telkomsel store. But SIM cards are so cheap and data is cheap as well, and there is signal nearly everywhere on the island.
you can expect to pay around 135k IDR for 35 gigs of mobile data.
You will need a SIM card to sign up for a Grab and Gojek account, although you can use a local friend's number to do that as well.
Next up, let's talk about tipping. It's an optional thing to do on the island.
When you get the check, the service fee is included already, but we do suggest that you just give an extra, 5-10k. It makes a lot of difference and they'll really appreciate it. Pharmacy, a place I seem to have been in nearly every day of my life there. There's pharmacies everywhere around the island. It's called apotek in Indonesian. So as soon as you see that word, you know there's a pharmacy there. There's Kimia Pharmacy and Guardians all over the island. You can get all sorts of medication there and toiletries and cosmetic products.
One thing we found was headache tablets are ridiculously cheap there.
For a pack of 4 really good headache medications, it's like 1K, was it?
Like ibuprofen, paracetamol mix is super cheap. So don't worry about bringing those.
I just want to add quickly that some beauty products have whitening in it or cooling agents, like the men's stuff. So some of the stuff you find in there is very foreign and interesting. We don't have whitening products here in South Africa, so I was like, what? But it's a huge thing in Indonesia.
Next up is laundry. So getting your clothes washed on the island is pretty much the easiest thing. You can drive 100 meters and find a laundromat right on the corner. Prices are around 15k per kilogram, so $1 per kg. Super cheap, super efficient. You'll get your clothes nice and fresh and folded up the next day. If you are staying in a hotel, definitely avoid using the hotel laundry service. You will be charged like 20 times more. Alright, now let's talk about some natural disasters.
Earthquakes can happen on the island of Bali because it is in the ring of fire, although very rarely and nothing too extravagant. We experienced 2 of them and it was a bit of a wobble. The pool went a bit weird, but it was okay. Another natural disaster to be aware of, there are volcanoes on the island and they are active. So do just take note of your surroundings, be a bit prepared, look up what there is to do. In the case of a volcano erupting or a tsunami or an earthquake, just prep yourself a little bit because it is a possibility and it's something I was actually genuinely worried about. And you should be, right? Should be a little worried about it.
They have evacuation signs all over the island near the beaches and also near the volcanoes. So just take note of the routes that you need to follow if something happens. All right, now let's talk about what we think you should skip on the island of Bali.
Personally, we haven't done it, but we've heard from a lot of travelers that it was a bit of an uncomfortable experience, and that is the dolphin viewing in Lovina in the north of the island. There's far too many boats and I don't know, it's just a bit of I don't know if it's a very eco-friendly activity to do on the island. So if you're worried about that, maybe just skip the experience entirely. Second thing that we're very passionate about is do not do a day tour to Nusa Penida Island. The island is jam-packed with traffic. The roads are terrible and you will spend most of your day in a car stuck in traffic. So if you do plan to visit the beautiful island of Nusa Penida, do spend a night. Make time for it, otherwise you will not enjoy your experience on the island. We personally did it and it wasn't great.
Yeah, we haven't been back yet. We didn't have a good time at all. But hopefully next time we go, we will stay over. If you are looking for a place to stay, you can check out in the description. Tropical glamping comes highly recommended. And the last thing we think you should skip
is Lempuyang Temple. It's very much an Instagram versus reality moment. You'll see a lot of photos on the internet of this beautiful temple with Mount Agung centered in the back and these clear lakes at the bottom with a beautiful reflection like a mirror. That's because it is a mirror. They do put a mirror in the photo to give it that effect, but it's nothing special. If you're all about the photos, then maybe go for it. It'll make your Instagram look really cool, but don't be disappointed when you get there and see that it's not what it looks like on Instagram.
And if you spend hours standing in a line just for that photo,
there are huge lines there at the Lempuyang Temple. So if you don't want to stand in lines and be disappointed, then just skip that.
All right, let's get to things we do recommend you do.
A Balinese cooking class, a bicycle trip through the local community, the Mount Batua sunrise hike, river rafting and tubing in Ubud, water bomb is so much fun, Tugu Hotel for a Balinese dinner experience, the Kechak dance at Uluwatu Temple, and watch all of our Balinese videos in our Bali playlist for more suggestions. Okay, next up is safety. We get asked this quite often, is Bali safe? And the truth is, I feel 100% safe on the island of Bali. We were there in a very desperate time during the pandemic and it was still one of the most safest places on earth. So definitely not something that you should worry about at all, but like everywhere in the world, there is petty crime and some theft, so just be cautious. Don't be too flashy with your items. And if you have a safety box in your hotel room, definitely utilize it.
One tip I can give you, and this applies to all over Asia, is don't text with your phone facing the road. Turn your back to the road if you're going to need to text someone, because some people do drive by on bikes and grab your phone out of your hand. So that's one thing that can happen. Just be aware of it.
And also, if you're on a motorbike, don't text on the motorbike because they can come past you and grab it there too.
And then in terms of scams, this can happen in Southeast Asia. We've heard of that, but fortunately for us, it has not happened at all. Nothing has happened in Bali. 99% of the people that you meet on the island will be super helpful, super friendly. We haven't really had anything happen to us.
No need to worry. Haven't even heard of it happening to anyone else either. And finally, other. These are just really random things that we think you should know. Number one is basically carry toilet paper wherever you go. It's not used that often. Second thing is there is a random hose pipe looking thing with a nozzle on it next to the toilet. That's the bum gun, and that you use to clean yourself when you go to the toilet. We miss it so much. We love that thing, and we think it's more sanitary than just using toilet paper. Be careful though, some have quite a strong squirt to them. And they actually hurt. Girls, sometimes it hurts, so just be careful. And third of all, if you do use toilet paper, do not throw it into the toilet, throw it into the bin. You can clog some pipes and cause a lot of damage. They don't have a sewage system like that. So just throw all of your toilet paper, everything, into the bin next to it. Anyway, those things were a little uncomfortable to talk about, but needed to be said.
That's basically everything you need to know about Bali, or everything we can think of right now. If you can think of anything else, add it in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you found it informative. If you did, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you want more content.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Also, enjoy your trip. Have fun. It's going to be life-changing, and let us know how it was in the comments below.
You're going to love it.